Well, luckily for you, you don't have to guess because we're 100% right every single time we make a prediction. Yeah, you know that's right. We're going to look at the numbers today on how Facebook gaming is increasing, decreasing in terms of the number of streamers that are on the platform. We're going to look at the number of concurrent viewers. We're going to look at how it's trending over time and talk about our knowledge. I mean, Astral over here is a full-time Facebook gaming streamer, and we kind of talk about this every day. Is it going to grow? Is it going to decline? All those answers today. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io? And you're on.
Growth or decline from here. So this is the same chart that we've shown on a lot of episodes, the Facebook average CCV, concurrent viewers, on the Streamlabs Hatchet Q3 2020 report. And we've looked at this multiple times because it has declined in the last quarter, which I'm not sure that we expected that necessarily. It got that COVID-19 bump.
COVID-19.
And now it's bumped down a little bit. So where's it going to go from here and why? So my experience streaming on the platform it's been very tumultuous, very chaotic in terms of where numbers are at, where certain and what certain streamers are experiencing. And I think this is a shared experience for those of you who view the podcast and comment on our YouTube videos and talk to me, in DMs. You're telling me that you see the same thing, and it's chaotic. One stream you can be up, I'll get 20,000 views. You'll see like hundreds of concurrent viewers. Another stream you'll get like 2 or 5.
2 or 5 versus hundreds is like insane, man. Like that is way too much volatility for somebody to stick around.
Yeah, and that's been the story for the whole journey so far of Facebook gaming. But the general trend is that volatility was volatile. The total numbers seem to be decreasing for many, especially newer streamers on the platform overall. And if we look at the different streams, the different bigger creators on the platform, their numbers on their channels or aka pages grow, but their concurrent viewership really is sticking pretty much the same. We're not seeing a fast accelerated growth on this platform like we might expect. So I'm going to give you my prediction here, and then we're going to go from yours, AWOL, I think, and then we're going to talk about that some more.
Please cut right straight to it. Okay, so overall platform prediction is what we're starting with, right? Like the entire platform, where's it going? Hit us with it.
The entire platform is going to continue to grow, but what we're going to see in this next quarter, we'll see another decline in current viewership and CCV. But overall, the platform's viewership after that next quarter, after kind of the initial COVID bump is still going down, will slowly, very slowly, incrementally increase after that, almost too slow of an increase where it's not as barely even noticeable. And that's the concurrent viewership. So we're going to see unique streamers skyrocket. We're going to see number of channels skyrocket, but the average CCV is not going to skyrocket. It's going to go very, very slow increase after another decrease this next quarter, Q4 2020. That's my prediction.
Okay, wow. I'm in a similar boat. I think that's what's going to happen as streaming becomes more saturated. And we're going to take a look at the numbers, by the way. We're going to go through all of them right now up until this quarter, just to remind you guys of where the trend is going and how we're analyzing this. The reason why we're talking about all of this is it's all about supply and demand. And what Perrin just talked about a moment ago was how basically supply for streaming is going up. There's now 280,000 something streamers on the platform. We'll look at it in a moment. But demand in terms of concurrent viewership is actually slightly going down. So that is a very bad thing. And so I think that that's what's causing this volatility for all of you guys out there who do one stream and get 5 views, do the next stream get 50 to 100, do another one get 200, and then there's a third one you get 3 viewers. Why is that happening? It's because there's huge waves of streamers coming into the platform, but the viewership is not increasing over time. And so I agree with you. I think this number of streamers is going to continue to increase as COVID-19 continues to hit, as this whole cultural phenomenon of streaming continues to increase. I think a lot of streamers are going to increasingly become frustrated with Twitch and the zero growth or little growth opportunity there. YouTube, because it's so difficult to grow on YouTube, but Facebook gaming, they can at least stream and sometimes see some views come in. And so I think that's going to be appealing to viewers, and that number is going to increase. I think that Facebook gaming is going to, for 2 quarters, so for the first quarter of 2021 and for the second quarter of 2021, is going to wobble and decline in terms of the number of viewers. Then it's going to spike in the summer, and it's going to spike in the fourth quarter of next year after Facebook gaming sees their prized platform kind of skyrocket, decline. The bosses are going to look at that and go, uh-oh. They're going to turn on the algorithm juice come summer next year, and it's going to go back up. So for those of you that are sticking with Facebook gaming, looking at it as a longer term play, it still makes sense to me in 2021 to stay on board, but to keep it in a re-streaming capacity, in a multi-streaming capacity, because you can't really build an entire business on Facebook gaming as it stands right now. It's not mature enough yet. The revenue isn't there. There's too many international viewers that don't have enough money to support, let's say, US viewers or UK viewers or Australian viewers. And so I'd keep it in your restream queue for 2021. And just keep in mind that the results are no longer going to be astronomical. And if you have that expectation moving into the first half of next year, I think you're going to be set up for success. What do you think, Perrin?
Yeah, I think, again, and we say this a lot on the podcast, don't put all eggs into one basket, especially since we don't know how these are going to play out. Remember earlier this year, Mixer was toast. Mixer got canned for having that slow incremental growth of concurrent viewership. It just wasn't growing fast enough. And there was a huge supply demand like disparity so that wasn't going to work out for them. And so they killed the platform. You know, that was Mixer was a platform that had a lot of money behind it. You know, Facebook maybe has a lot more money behind it.
Tens of millions behind Mixer, maybe 100 million plus. Like, there was no slouch, amigo.
So yeah, exactly. So there's not, you know, we're kind of assuming, I think a lot of us are looking at Facebook like Facebook can't fail. Facebook's too big to fail with this. But that's not necessarily true. Facebook knows well enough to cut something when it's not going to work. And if they see an extended period of incremental, where it's only incremental growth, where they're talking still hundreds of thousands of concurrent viewership, and they're not able to get into the millions, and it's just not getting, and doesn't look like it's going to get to that point for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they will cut the whole program. They will say, no, we're done. Or they will just stop funding to it. They'll keep the feature, but they'll stop all their funding. They'll stop all of the additional features, and those keep it at a standstill, which is also not good, because that's one of the reasons why it's enticing right now, is they actually have a team and they're actually putting money into this. So there's a lot of benefit for creators. There's a lot of opportunity. So the opportunity could go away. So you don't want to be in that position where that could technically still happen. I'm not saying that it will. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying be ready for that by diversifying yourself across multiple platforms. So if you're already doing that with something like Restream, then you're okay. I think with Facebook, you know, it looks like AWOL, you and I are both predicting some type of growth in Q1, but not nearly at the levels that it was in this past year. I think that organic opportunity, that organic reach opportunity will be diminished unless, like you said, Facebook has to like turn on the key of the algorithm and unlock some juice for everybody. I don't know, you know, if they do something like that. I think that's only going to unlock it for those creators who are already like high, medium tier to high tier.
Mm-hmm.
If you're low to like intro level medium creator, I don't think you're going to see any of that, because they're going to want to have breakout stars getting same concurrent viewerships to be competitive versus the Twitch stars. Which if we were to take a comparison of that right now, I mean, let's just look and see where they're at right now compared to the two platforms. So the top Facebook gaming stream right now this morning is at 17,800 concurrent viewers. If we were to go to Twitch and do the same and take a look, who's the top there as well.
Yeah, make sure you don't sort by English, because some of those international streams absolutely crush.
Yeah, so they're all languages. Viewers high to low on Facebook right now. This morning, 17,800. The highest on Twitch this morning, 63,400. So there's quite, you know, they've got big talent. I think this was definitely doing better than Mixer's top streams. I could be wrong. But
none of these top streams are English, though. So keep that in mind. None of these top 9 streams are English. And Facebook is going to want English streams because English streams make way more money. And so that's something that they're also going to be considering.
So if we sort by English, if it lets us here, then we're at 3,300 is the highest.
That's not very good. That's not very good. No. Now, the big boys haven't started streaming today. And So obviously they want superstars. Can we go look at the Streamlabs Hatchet report for everybody that has not yet seen these numbers? This was the average concurrent viewership of Facebook, which, as you can see, it was on a rocket ship ride from Q1 2019. So only 76,000 average concurrent viewers on the platform just at the beginning of 2019. Spiked up to 379,000 in the second quarter of this year with the height of COVID, but then it dropped in the third quarter of this year, which is why we're so concerned and which is why we're doing this podcast episode. But it's not just that. Let's show them the other numbers too. They need to understand the reality of this platform. And I really want to, at this point, discourage exclusive streaming on Facebook. Just by the numbers. You don't even have to take our prediction here, guys. Just by the numbers. I mean, Perrin, walk us through this unique channels number. This competition, it doesn't look like it's getting any better for our viewers. Put this in context for them.
Yeah. So, this is Facebook's unique channels. This is the number of unique, pages that are streaming on Facebook gaming, starting in Q1 2019 at 27,500 and ending here in Q3 during the time of this report, 2020 at 267,000, basically 268,000. There was never a decline here. There's always been a steep increase. You can see the COVID bump here, Q1 2020 to Q2. It was a little bit steeper of an incline, but it's basically stayed about the same. So if you've noticed, the unique channels continues to grow at the same rate. The concurrent viewership has not grown at the same rate, which means this is the first time where there is a disparity between supply and demand, where there's more supply and suddenly the demand has plateaued and actually decreased a little bit, which is not good. The reason that we were so on top of Facebook gaming was because supply and demand were both going at the same rate, which is perfect for new people to come in there and start streaming to catch into that. But that has just changed as of this last quarter. And if we look at total hours watched as well, you can see that kind of beginning to plateau off too. There are less growth in hours watched. It looks like the concurrent viewership is less. There's still many watching. There's a little bit of growth, and that's from 970 million to 1 billion total hours watched from Q2 2020 to Q3 2020. So that is technically an increase, but still it's at a much, much lower rate. So it's that supply demand that we always talk about. You want that to be beneficial and in your favor. So that's how you know there's organic opportunity. When that wanes, that's kind of a red flag. And we've talked about this before. We want to reiterate it again today because we're going to look at predicting what's going to happen here. This isn't the first time we're going to see this plateau. It's not the first time. In fact, my prediction, next quarter, down again.
I agree.
And it's not till Q1 2020 till we start going back up, but it's going to be really, really slow. And I don't think we're going to see any of these sharp increases anymore. I think we're done with that. So we reached a max here of like 380,000. That's not very high. That's not very high. That's a
very small number. I agree. Yeah. Now let's compare that to the other platforms. Yeah. Bring up Twitch and bring up YouTube so they can understand how little viewership that truly is.
So if we look at like total hours,
you can go look at the CCV of each platform in the report. If you want, you can scroll down to Twitch and you can scroll down to YouTube. I've got you on camera there. So are you guys following this? So that's why restreaming is so critically important. There's a link in the description below to restream to multiple platforms at the same time. At the very least, in my opinion, you should be streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook gaming simultaneously. If you want to throw Trovo or DLive into the mix, that's fine. You just click a button with Restream and you're streaming on all of these platforms so you can suck all the growth out of all of them and acquire as much audience as possible. Because as you can see, even with something like Facebook Gaming, with it only having 387,000 concurrent viewers at any given point, and we're going to show you versus Twitch and YouTube in a moment how small that is, even with that number can go down. These platforms are not a rocket ship ride to the moon. These are long-term strategic plays that you guys need to be thinking about. How are you going to build your overall online business to sustain the storm? When Mixer goes out of business, when Facebook Gaming declines, when Twitch bans people, etc. What are you doing to weather the storm? Well, being on multiple platforms and diversifying your investments, if you will, is the way to do that. Diversification is the key to weathering anything long-term. Makes sense, right? Link below. Restream sponsors us. We're restreaming right now, and we truly believe this is the safest way to stream and grow as a small and growing creator today, given the volatility in the market. Now, you have some numbers you want to share with us here in terms of average CCV on Twitch. Now, this is the concurrent viewers on average in any given quarter, right?
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is the bump from Q4 2019 of about 1.2 million concurrent viewers. Remember, Facebook gaming's at what 380,000 right now at a peak. Twitch peaked at the same time, Q2 2020, at 2.3 million. Okay, so it has basically 2 million more concurrent viewers. So it is a lot larger of a platform. Of course it is. I mean, it's the number one. It dropped down by a good portion from 2.3 million down to 2.1 million in Q3 2020. So it saw a dive down too. I think we had that COVID-19 bump, and then we're coming down from that a little bit. We might continue to come down from that a little bit, or maybe we'll go back up depending on what happens with that. That's kind of an X factor that it's a little bit hard to predict.
Yeah, but it's 10 times more. It's almost 10 times more than the viewership on Facebook. I mean, that's a pretty stark contrast of something in the, not 10 times more, about 8 times more. A platform that's in the hundreds of thousands of concurrents versus one that's in the millions. It's not even comparable.
Yeah. And so if you're seeing really slow incremental concurrent viewership growth on Facebook, and they're just not able to even come close to catching Twitch, I mean, clearly their play here is to be the Twitch competitor. And the only one I think that has a shot outside of YouTube gaming, which we can take a look at here as well. But it being slow and incremental, I think that's going to be a really interesting period to see what decisions are made by Facebook to either make that growth work, and can they even make it work? I mean, Mixer tried and failed. They couldn't get that growth to not be super incremental. They couldn't juice up those concurrent viewership numbers and get tons of viewers on their platform who were regular concurrent viewers for live streams. They just couldn't do it. They didn't know how. They tried different strategies. They all failed. So what is Facebook Gaming going to do that's different, that's going to keep users in there? I don't think we've seen it yet. I don't know what that's going to be. So I'm expecting incremental growth. YouTube Gaming Live's average concurrent viewership at the end of Q3 2020 hit 758,000. So that's quite significantly more than Facebook Gaming as well, but they're a little bit more in league with each other. But still, Facebook Gaming is still on the number 3 slot. So if they can't even compete with YouTube, and we know how much Facebook loves to compete with YouTube. If they can't even compete with YouTube on this, I do see a situation where they do give up. And I don't think they'll completely remove Facebook Gaming from their platform, but they will stop funding it and focusing on initiatives for it if it can't grow even past YouTube Gaming's numbers. And they're gunning for Twitch. So they're not even a YouTube Gaming yet. They're not even close to the 758,000. And notice, interestingly, one of the only platforms that has grown in concurrent viewers after the COVID bump has been YouTube Gaming. From Q2 2020 to Q3 2020, they went from 695,000 to 758,000 concurrent viewership. So they have growth. They actually have growth there.
And they have the doc, baby. Not that big stars matter at all, but they do have the doc on that platform. So I don't know, just to put this in perspective for everybody, we've been in the game here for, oopsie, I need to tighten up my mic here. We've been in the game here for about 10 years. We've been watching this since, about 2010, maybe earlier, this whole streaming situation. And the only thing you can absolutely count on when it comes to streaming platforms, social media platforms, the whole nine, is that they're going to go up and down. It's going to be a roller coaster ride over time. That's the only thing you can count on. And so you need to count on volatility. You need to count on being excited that you're growing this quarter. And then next quarter, it's like, where did the growth go? And so instead of being stressed out about it constantly changing everywhere, restreaming can help solve that. And one way that you can help, I think, stabilize your growth over time as a Facebook gaming streamer and as a creator of any description is by creating a YouTube channel in particular and just releasing nonstop searchable videos on a YouTube channel to just make sure you have nonstop consistent viewership and growth coming in through that YouTube channel. That has been the one thing, Perrin, and let me know if you agree or disagree. Building a YouTube channel focused around search in particular has been the one strategy that has worked like gangbusters since 2009, nonstop. That hasn't gone up, that hasn't gone down, that just has always worked. And so that's a strategy that still works today because YouTube is the number 2 largest search platform in the world. Google is the number 1 search platform in the world. And now YouTube videos, as you guys know, will show up in the shelf as the number 3 search result on Google. So that's a consistent strategy that you can also use to weather the storm. Whether the Facebook goes up or Facebook goes down, you should be consistently releasing searchable content on YouTube. It is a no-brainer. YouTube's going nowhere, guys. I'm not talking about YouTube streaming, just YouTube videos are going nowhere. And so if you want a constant, endless battery, an endless source of traffic to drive over to your stream, building a searchable YouTube channel, searchable videos, where you're saying one thing in every video, which is go check out my live stream on blah, blah, blah platform. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in every single video. It's a nonstop way to promote your live stream without having to be subject to these kind of increases and declines, this roller coaster ride that all of these streaming platforms put you on. Perrin, I see that you have a graphic on the screen that shows this such roller coaster ride.
Yeah, YouTube gaming is all over the place.
Look at this, man.
But it's super interesting right now because look at this drop at total hours streamed for a second from Q2 2020 to Q3 2020. 17,800,000 down to 12 million. Okay. It's like a 5 million total hours
God,
drop.
So crazy, dude.
It like literally it just completely bottomed out. Also, the number of unique live channels dropped from 1 million in Q2 2020 down to 900,000 in Q3. So, okay, so the number of unique channels dropped, which means supply dropped, but demand on average CCV increased. So the ratio here for YouTube gaming actually looks nice. The problem with YouTube gaming is you get this roller coaster effect, like
God, look
this
at
chart
that.
shows, where it's like, hey, things are going well, and then bam, it bottoms out, and then bam, it bottoms out. So you want to be careful there. But if you are doing this kind of like sowing different seeds, planting different seeds with Restream, let's say things on Facebook gaming aren't kind of going well, but right now things on YouTube gaming, like chart wise, they're going pretty well. And I do agree with you, AWOL. The search strategy has been tried and true for 8 years or more now, and it hasn't changed. So you know that's one way to grow an audience, and then you can take that traffic, and we know it works to direct them to Twitch. We know that works. That's a strategy that medium level, top level Twitch streamers will tell you, hey, yeah, I grew on YouTube first, then I sent them to Twitch, and now my Twitch is big too. So we know that strategy works. That's definitely a play that you can make here. And then try Facebook gaming, explore that in a multi-stream way, see if you can leverage some growth there, see how things are going to play out in the next year or so that you might have a start there. But I mean, in this last quarter, YouTube gaming definitely came out the strongest. I know that we were talking about Facebook gaming in our predictions here.
But this roller coaster ride is important to see because we're starting to see that roller coaster right now on Facebook gaming. And so by showing people this context on what happens with these platforms that have been around longer than Facebook gaming is really important for them to see. That's about to happen to them if they're exclusive on Facebook gaming. They're going to have this. I mean, if you look at this chart, you might see numbers right now, and folks listening to audio, it looks like it's like the letter W, maybe a jacked up looking V right now. It's crazy looking. That is your emotions as you're trying to stay motivated to stream. That is an emotional roller coaster for all of you. You guys know what I'm talking about. Perrin, you know what you're talking about. You confide in me, and you're like, you struggle with motivation as well. And when you're on that roller coaster ride with you getting big numbers, small numbers, big numbers, small numbers, how are you staying motivated to stream when you only have 5 viewers watching, when you only have 2 viewers watching? And then when you get a taste of what 200 viewers watching feels like, and then you go back to having 30, for example, it doesn't feel that great anymore, even though that is an accomplishment. And so everybody needs to prepare themselves emotionally, not just strategically, but emotionally for this roller coaster ride, and do everything you can to try to even out that up and down and that roller coaster as much as you can in terms of your overall numbers across your entire brand. And that's why we're doing this podcast, is to help you weather that storm, because the creators that quit because of the roller coaster, which is 99%, that is why 99% of you will fail and only 1% of you will succeed in doing this full time, is because you quit when the roller coaster happens. So we're telling you that the roller coaster is incoming right now for Facebook gaming. And so if you quit, that's a 100% chance that you fail. If you don't quit and you do some of the things we're suggesting, like YouTube search and restreaming and diversifying your online brand and your business, then you can weather this storm and you can be there for when the roller coaster goes back up again. Perrin, do you mind pulling up my website, awoldigital.com? This is something that I talk with a lot of my creator clients with, whether they are a small creator with 0 viewers, whether they are a huge creator with millions of subscribers or a giant tech media company. I tell them these sorts of things. They hear about what's trending today and they're like, AWOL, I want to grow on that thing that's trending. And I try to, in my one-on-one coaching, push them towards a strategy that will work in the long term. If you're interested in having me coach you one-on-one, head on over to awaldigital.com, AWALL digital.com. Click the schedule one-on-one coaching button. I will go with you through your challenges. You can schedule your date, your time. You tell me your challenges. You pay me the dollars, and I'm on a one-on-one call with you, going over how you can grow your online business, your stream, your YouTube channel, your social media, whatever it may be. And then I give you a PDF summary afterwards, and I help you out. We direct message and I help you out. You jump on my Discord, and we work together for you to achieve your dreams and to achieve what you're looking to accomplish. That's how it works. Perrin, any final thoughts on Facebook gaming? Or were we too doom and gloom on it? Is it still thumbs up or thumbs down? I don't want everybody to think that we're saying thumbs down here.
I mean, we did talk about it was going to have incremental growth. So I do think it's still thumbs up. You know, we're just trying to help set your expectations for a storm to come in there. And so if you have your expectations set better, you might be able to weather it and stick with it and get something out of it. So hopefully that's the case. We'll see if our predictions are right. It's always fun to see how these turn out. We've had a lot of accurate predictions on the cast. So chat, viewers, hold us to it. Remember, when Q1 2021, Q2 2021 comes around, let us know. Come back